Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rakach Wadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the hopeful elect. Alright, and this video will be entitled All the Prophecies Must Go in Order. All the prophecies have to go in order. In order for the end to come, it have to go in order. Although we want the end to come quick, all the prophecies have to go in order. You know, all right. For example, you see what's going on with the Iran war. You know how Iran giving America Babylon the great pressure. Right now you see prices of oil going up. That's because is World War is a World War Three, but it ain't all out because a prophecy has to happen first, which is the MOTB. It must come first, all right, and then in order to bring World War Three. So it have to go in order for the end to come, and this is all what the prophets, the disciples, the apostles, all them wanted, the prophecies to happen in their time, but the Lord set it for, the Lord set it for an order to happen in an order, for a specific time, for an appointed time. All right, and I'll read this. This is Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 3. It says, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry." All right, and it's the appointed time. All right, we are in the appointed time. The end. Of this of Esau Edom society. It wasn't meant to happen. In the prophets of old time. The Lord has set the prophecies to happen for a specific time and order. Okay, which is now. So I'll type up something here in Google. Does order and time go together? And this is what the AI overview of Google says. It says, yes, order and time are deeply intertwined concepts. Fundamentally, time acts as the mechanism that defines the order um of events. All right. Okay. So the Lord is the author of time, Yahweh. You know. Here is how they go together: chronological sequence. Time order is a method of organization that arranges events or steps in the sequence they occur, such as in a story, process, or recipe. So that's what the Lord do, and the Lord said for a specific time and have it. Is an order and a time, for the prophecies to happen, to go in place, in order for the end to come, Okay. So the Lord wanted in a specific time, which is now, and then he gonna play out the events. He gonna play it out in an order, Um. So let me get this in the Apocrypha. This is Second Ezra chapter 4, and I'll start verse 33. All right. It says, "Then I answered and said," this is the prophet Ezra. "Then I answered and said, how and when shall these things come to pass? Wherefore are our years few and evil?" So the prophet Ezra here, he was asking, I believe he was asking the angel, when these things gonna come to pass, the prophecies, when the evil coming upon the earth, verse 34. "And he answered me and saying, do not thou hasten above the Most High, for thy haste is in vain to be above him. For thou hast much exceeded," Yahweh ordering the time, He's ordering the time. He gonna um slack here, just bear with me. He gonna want to happen, in his time. He gonna want the prophecies to happen when he wants it to happen, you know. All right, verse 35. Did not the souls also of the righteous ask question of these things in their chambers, saying, how long shall I hope on this fashion? When cometh the fruit of the flow of our reward? All right, the saints, the prophets are all, the disciples, the students, the apostles, the Abishai disciples, they wanted the kingdom to come. They rewarded to come, you know. Okay, but it wasn't the time for it to come. Verse 36. And unto these things Uriel the archangel gave them answer and said, even when the number of seeds is filled in you, for he hath weighed the world in the balance, by measure hath he measured the times, and by number hath he numbered the times. All right. Okay, that's Yahweh, 'cause Yahweh in control of time. He set the prophecies for a specific time, and you're gonna have them go out in order. All right. He measured the times and he numbered it. He numbered the prophecies. Okay, and he doth not move nor stir them until the said measure be fulfilled. Until a certain prophecy be fulfilled. Is when Yahushua gonna come back. Is when the kingdom, is gonna come back, our rulership. You know, you know, like for example, the MOTB. When the MOTB, comes out, okay, because that's a major prophecy. Stuff gonna push. And that's where it is leading to. Everything leading to the MOTB. As our apostle Tahar to say, all roads, go into the MOTB. Okay, once that happens, when a lot of stuff gonna push, World War Three, the prophecy is gonna push and Yahushua is gonna come, all right. So that's it. So until the said measure be fulfilled, until the said measure be fulfilled, the Lord the Lord gonna make the end to come. You're not gonna stir them up until the said measure be fulfilled. All right. So this is back at the Blue Letter Bible. This is Matthew chapter 24, and I'll start verse 3. It says, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? They were wondering when these prophecies is going to take place, if they're going to take place in their time. The disciples of Yahushua. Verse 4, and Yahushua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am a Mashiach, and shall deceive many, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. All right. Okay, so all these prophecies have to come to pass in order for the end to come, for Yahushua to make his return, such as like the MOTB. So the end wasn't in for that time, it's for now. So the Lord have it for a specific time. He have it in our order, the prophecies in our order, for what time it's gonna take place, you know. So, and they didn't see the prophecies happen in their time. Some happened, but not all. Like think 70 AD, but not all. But the prophets are back. Don't know who, but the prophets are back. So you know the time the prophecies are speaking. And right now is a beautiful time we in. All right, And so the prophets are back, and they seeing it. Okay. So this is Mark 13 and verse 3. This is the same thing as as Matthew 24:3, but I'll just read it. All right. Well, verse 4. Let's see here. All right, verse 3. It says, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, over against the temple, Peter, James, and John and Andrew asked him privately, tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming? Slakia. And what shall be the sign when all these things shall be fulfilled? And Yahushua answered them, answering began to say, take heed lest any man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am a Mashiach, and shall deceive many. And when ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, be ye not troubled, for such things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So when the prophecies come to pass, we know that the end of Esau Edom, this kingdom, is coming. Yahushua is coming back, to set up his kingdom. All right, so all right, yeah. This is Luke chapter 21 and verse 25. Verse 25. All right, the return of a Mashiach. It says, and there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations, and perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. We see in this distress of nations. See what's going on with Iran, signs in the sun, the moon, in the heavens. All right, you see the blood moon, that's our omen of the end. Verse 26. Men's hearts failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. A fearful time is coming. You've seen a lot of stuff. Jacob's trouble is coming. For the powers of heaven shall be shaken. All right, verse 27. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. All right, the Son of Man is Yahushua. He's gonna come back, and those cloud is it means is the cloud there is the chariots. The massive chariot. Yahushua is coming back to save his elect. So when all these prophecies start to manifest on the earth, you know, you know, the MOTB, whatnot, World War III. That's when during that time, that's when Yahushua is gonna come back. So the prophecies have to go in order, in order for the end to come. Okay, the Lord had set it for specific times. This is Acts chapter 1, and I'll start at verse 6. It says, when they therefore will come together, they are the disciples of Yahushua. This is when Yahushua had raised from the dead. He had come back from the dead after the crucifixion. When they therefore will come together, they ask of him, saying, Lord, wilt thou at this time restore the kingdom to Israel? All right, so they wanted the kingdom to restore to Israel. They wanted the prophecies to happen. To Yahushua to save Israel. But verse 7. And he said unto them, it is not for you to know the times or the seasons which the Father hath put in his own power. All right. So you see, it's not for them to know the time or the seasons. The Lord is ordering it. Yahweh, especially. Yahweh Shai don't even know when he coming back. Because you notice there, which the Father hath put in his power. Because Yahweh is controlling time. Yahweh means he exists. He exists all the time. He knew what prophecy is gonna happen or gonna take place. He ordered it. He put the time, dates, and everything. So that's it. So that's what the prophecies have to come in order, for Yahushua to come. All right. For him to save his elect. For the end of this kingdom, Esau Edom. for the end of Babylon the Great, America. Okay, so let's see. This is it's in the Apocrypha here. This is Second Ezra chapter 9 and verse 1. It says, "He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself." All right, measure the times. Measuring the times, is by prophecy. Okay, it's by prophecy. As we see in the prophecies, prophecy by prophecy, taken in order, is when we know the end is coming. You know, all right, that is when we know the end is closer. He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before. Okay, when you see these prophecies begin to happen, you know, what the Lord told us, through the scriptures, verse 2, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. It's then when we'll understand that the highest, Yahushua is coming, is close, It's then that we know the end gonna manifest, as we're gonna read later down. Verse 3, therefore when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, and you're seeing these things, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High speak of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. He spake these things through with his prophets, and we just reciting them for you, retelling them. You know, um it says verse 5, for like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. All right, even so the times of the highest have plain beginnings in wonders and powerful works, and endings in effects and signs. The Lord order all these things. Yehovah Bahasham Yahushai. So when the prophecies happen, when we see the prophecies, measuring the times, prophecy by prophecy is when we know, the end is coming, the end is manifesting. These prophecies manifest in the end, So Lord's will in this video was edifying unto the elect, the hopeful elect. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakha Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the hopeful elect, Wa Abad Babal and Shalom.